Hello to you all, my dear students. How are you? I hope you're fine and safe. And children, I'm going to continue with the same lesson, the enemy. So this is the revision work which we are doing, and you have to listen very carefully. If you have missed any explanation or difficult words or new words earlier, okay. So please listen carefully and be more perfect in your lesson. So let me revise you some important point. So children, it was the time of World War II and two great enemy, US, America and Japan were there. Now Dr. Sodayo Hoki, he was a Japanese surgeon and a very famous scientist. Okay, and he was discovering something in the medicine, and then he came to, when he was standing alone in his house which was near the coast of the sea, he found that. Now students, I told you Dr. Sodayo Hoki in the early lesson. It is given the childhood of Dr. Sodayo Hoki that his father wanted that he should become something great in his life, and finally he became a great surgeon and a doctor, I mean to say a scientist. And children, his father always dreamed about him that he should achieve something in his high life. He wanted him to leave Japan if possible for the higher education, and Dr. Sodayo has to go for USA. Finally he met a girl there, Hannah, but children, his father, Dr. Sodayo, he respected his father very much. He did not want to go against his wish, so he wanted to marry Hannah, but he wanted that his father should give permission. Only one condition was kept by the father, that if she is of a pure Japanese race, then only he could marry her. So finally, children, when he came to find out that she is a girl, Japanese girl with a pure Japanese race, full of children, she is full of children. She believes in the tradition and the ritual of the culture. So Dr. Sodayo, finally he told her that he would marry her. And children, they were leading a very happy life. Okay, the father died finally, and Dr. Sodayo, he was leading a very happy life. But one thing was that he was, though children, a tough time or a happy time, he was always a hard worker and a very good person. So children, one day, children, when Hannah and he was standing on the balcony of his house, they saw, and it was quite misty. He was not able to see the islands which were in front of his house. So children, what Dr. Sodayo has seen, he saw the figure of a man who was not able to walk, who was staggering. And Dr. Sodayo, children, he and his wife ran to him, and they found that he is having a deep wound, and excessive bleeding was there, so he was not able to get up also properly. Now children, Dr. Sodayo, when he looked at him, he saw that he is not a Japanese person. He is a white person, belong from US Navy, and that US is the enemy of Japan. So children, the story is of World War II time, and at that time that USA and Japan were one of the greatest enemy of each other. Now children, Dr. Sodayo thought, now he had to think a lot, because he knew that if he will not support this man, he knew that if he will not help this man, he will surely die, he will not able to live. But at the same time, children, he was a person with full of patriotic feeling. So he thought, if I will not tell to the police, then he will be doing a great harm for his country. So children, he was in a dilemma. He was thinking what to do and what not to do. Then finally, children, the voice, his inner voice told him that first you do the duty of a doctor. So finally he decided, children, that he could help the prisoner, though he belongs from the USA Navy, a great enemy of Japan. But then also he decided he could help him only. So now children, but at the same time he was fearing after, he was scared, because children, he had risked his life, his career, his life of his family, everything. So but then children, he was a person who believed that duty is the foremost things in one man's life, and since being a doctor, it is his duty to save a dying man. And finally children, he gave a shelter to him in his house, though he had faced a lot of trouble, like children, there were servants who left one by one, and Hannah had to do a lot of domestic work. Even Dr. Soda was having a lot of problem, but they did not lose hope. To save one person's life, they wanted to do a lot, whatever they can do and what was in their hand. So children, here I've already completed the first page of the lesson, explanation of the first page, and that was why Dr. Sudao he had given shelter, and then what was the condition of Dr. Sudao in his own house. Let's read now. Well, children, children, let's read that what happened with what the doctor had decided when he gave shelter to him in his house. I'm going to play, children. I'm going to explain you of this page number. Just take it out. Page number 27. Okay. So 27. I've finished the third paragraph. I'm now going to start the fourth paragraph. Okay. So page number 27. Now Sodao remembered the wound and with his expert fingers he began to search for it. Now children, he brought him home. Okay. And he brought him there, and children, when they saw him, white man, the wet cap fell away, and there was his wet yellow hair, long as though for many weeks it had not been cut, and upon his young and tortured face was a rough yellow beard. He was unconscious and knew nothing that they did for him. So he was unconscious and knew nothing that whatever they did for him. Now Sudao remembered the wound, and with his expert finger he began to search for it. So he started looking for wound, and with his expert finger, children, he began to search for it. Because he was a doctor, he was expert, and he knew, children, where his finger should go in a wound and what he should do. Blood flowed freshly at his touch. When the moment he touched his wound, children, fresh blood started coming from there. On the right side of his lower back, Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. Now, children, Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. The flesh was blackened with powder. Children, it was a gun wound which was once again it was reopened because he was floating in a water as if he was washed away from somewhere. Due to the force of water, the wound had been reopened, and on blood flowed on the right side of his lower back. So children, that wound was at the right side of his lower back. Sadao saw that a gun wound had been reopened. The flesh was blackened with powder, and children, some powdery thing was there, and it has turned black, which was stick to his flesh. Sometime not many days ago, the man had been shot and had not been tended. So children, it seems that that after some time the man had been shot, okay, and he was not tended. Tended means, children, looked after. He was not having anybody to look after, okay, and children, black, that the flesh has become black. Maybe, children, it was infected or whatever was the reason. The flesh of his wound was blackened with powder. Some time, not many days ago, the man had been shot. It looks to him that a few days ago the man had been shot and had not been tended. It had bad chance that the rock had struck the wound, and the possibility of that, children, when his body was flowing, so it must have been hit by some rock. Oh, he is bleeding, Hannah whispered again in a solemn voice. Solemn is a serious, and children, Hannah here told that he is bleeding. She told this in a very solemn voice. Solemn is serious. Okay. The mist screened them now completely. and at this time of day no one came. Now children, when Hannah was looking at this man, at that time a lot of mist was there and nobody came at that side of the beach, so they know that nobody can see them what they are doing. The fishermen had gone home, and even the chance beachcombers would have considered the day at the end. All the fishermen must have gone home by now, and even the chance beachcombers would have considered the day at the end. Beachcombers, children, are the searches at the beach. Searchers at the beach. Children, the person who doing the work of some searching at the beach, they are known as beachcomber. Maybe they must be searching that shell or whatever they feel like. Okay, so even now it is not a chance that they will be there. So Hannah and Dr. Sodai knew that nobody is on the beach, so it is completely safe to look at that man. Okay, what shall we do with this man? Sodai muttered. Now, he was lying. His condition was very bad. Nobody was there. He was an enemy. He knew if other people will see him, they will shoot him or they will take him to the prison and that man will die. So he is thinking hard, and he told his wife, he muttered. Mutter means he spoke in a very low voice to his wife. What should we do with this man? But his trained hands seemed of their own will to be doing what they could do to stanch the fearful bleeding. Children, what is the meaning of stanch? Stanch means to stop the flow of blood. Stanch. To stop the flow of blood. Okay, this is the meaning of stanch. To stop the flow of blood. Well, so children, actually Dr. Sodai finger, it seemed that since they are the finger of a surgeon, so it seemed that they want to heal the wound, they want to cure that person. Okay, what happened now? We are in page number 28. He packed the wound with a sea moss that strewed the beach. Okay, so what did Dr. Sodai doing? He was not having, and he did not know what to do. So children, moss is a small green plant that is spread over damp surface. Okay, in Hindi we say kai. So what is a kai? It is a green color plant. Okay, that is spread over damp surface. Strewed is laid over. So strewed means to lay over. To lay over. Okay, so children, what did Dr. Standard? He covered his wound with the sea moss so that he could get a little comfort. The man moaned with pain in his stupor, but he did not awaken. So what did the man did? He moaned. He started crying deeply, deep sound of pain. And children, stupor means unconsciousness. Okay, the man moaned with the pain in his stupor. Though he was children, stupor means unconscious. Okay, though he was lying in the state of unconscious, but then also children, he moaned. The pain was too intensive that even in his unconsciousness he was moaning. Moaning means to cry deeply with the pain. The best thing that we could do would be to put him back in the sea, Sodai said, answering himself. Now children, Sodai is in dilemma now. He is not knowing, he is not aware what to do with this man. This man is an American fellow. If anybody will tell him about that they are doing something for him, so even his life will be at risk. not even his life, his career will be at risk, and then the whole family will suffer. So he is not knowing what to do. At first he thought that he will put again back to the sea and leave him to his fate. But now that the bleeding was stopped, for the moment he stood up and dusted the sand from his hand. Now children, dusted means removed the dust. His hand was covered with dust. So when the moment he put children that moss over his wound, the bleeding stopped for a few moments as it was covered with moss. And in the meantime, Dr. Sodao dusted the sand from his hand. Now, yes, undoubtedly that would be best, Hannah said steadily. Steadily means constantly. Now children, even Hannah was against the idea that he should not cure that man, because she knew that he is an enemy and they will fall into great trouble. So steadily means after every time, regularly she was telling that we should not treat him, we should not leave him. But she continued to stare down at the motionless man. But at the same time, children, she was continuing with the man, with the motionless man. If we sheltered a white man in our house, we should be arrested, and if we turned him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die. Now, Sodar told to her one thing. He told, if we will give shelter to that American fellow in our house, we all will be arrested. And if we will turn him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die. So children, a very hard time for Dr. Sodao, thinking that what he should do. The kindest thing would be to put him back into the sea, Hannah said, but neither of them moved. Now children, so finally Hannah told me that just to save himself and just to save ourselves, it is best way that we should again put him to the sea. Okay, but nobody moved because both were very good, and they knew that they are pushing him to the mouth of death, because definitely the man will die if he will put them back to the sea. So children, they did not move, though they were telling, they were talking, but they did not perform their action. So the kindest thing would be to put him back into the sea, Hannah said, but neither of them moved. They were staring with a curious repulsion upon the inert figure. Now, but children, nobody moved, and they were staring with a curious repulsion. Children is dislike. Children, though they did not like, because he was their enemy, they did not like that one. Repulsion is dislike upon the inert figure, but they were looking at the dead figure which was lying motionless, not moving. What is he? Hannah whispered. There is something about him that looks American. Now she again wanted to confirm that what is he, that which country he belongs to. So Dr. Sodar told he seems to be an American, and Sadao said he took up the battered care. Now Sadao took up the battered care. Yes, there almost gone was a faint lettering, a sailor, he said, from an American warship. Now children, he must have seen some letter, the faded letter. The letter was also washed away. But children, it was something was written, a sailor, he said, from an American warship. He spelled it out, U.S. Navy. So in that case, what was written? U.S. Navy. The man was a prisoner of war. It seemed that somebody had made him prisoner, and he escaped, and somebody shot him with a bullet. He escaped. The person who must have shot, they thought that he will be dying, so they did not search, and finally that person, American prisoner, came to the shore of their house. So this was the situation. He is escaped, Hannah cried softly, but that is why he is wounded. Now Hannah told me he is escaped, and that's why he is wounded. That's why nothing has been done to cure him. Nobody has cured him. In the back, Sadao agreed. So Sadao also agreed with Hannah that he is wounded in the back. They hesitated, looking at each other. Then Hannah said with resolution, "Come, we are able to put him back into the sea." Now children, Hannah again started thinking, and children, she thought that they will be in trouble if they will not mm, children if they will keep him or give shelter in their house. So Hannah again told that we should put him back to the sea. If I'm able, are you? Sodao asked. Then Sodao asked her one thing. Okay, I would try to throw him again back to the sea, and we know what would be the result. He would certainly die. But would you also do that thing? Would you also want him to die? No, Hannah said. But if you can do it alone. So Hannah said, no, but if you can do it alone. She told, I cannot do, but you have to do it alone. Sadao hesitated again. The strange thing is, he said, that if the man were whole, I could turn him over to the police without difficulty. Now, so, again they were thinking, and Sadao told Hannah that if he was without this boon, I would have easily handed him to the police because he belongs from our enemy side. All Americans are my enemy. In fact, Dr. Sadao told all the Americans people were their enemy. And he is only a common fellow, and you see how foolish his face is, but since he is wounded, now he's telling, and he is also a common fellow. Common fellow means he is also enemy, but he is telling that how since he is wounded, but then he is having a great wound. You also cannot throw him back to the sea, Hannah said. She completed the sentence. Then also, that is the reason we are not able to throw him back to the sea, because we know that he would die. Then there is only one thing to do, we must carry him into the house. And Hannah finally gave her decision that only one thing they could do, that they can carry him back to the house. There he would give him the treatment. But the servant, now children, Sadao was thinking a bit more. He was thinking that what would be the servant will be saying, what would the servant will say if he gets up. What would the servant will say that if he children if he will bring him to their house. Now children, we are at page number 29. We must simply tell them that we intend to give him to the police. As indeed we must. Now he told that definitely we intend to give him to the police. We must. So children, then they have decided that if the servant will ask any question, what they will tell that they would give him to the police. Okay. And we must think of the children and your position, because he told it now I don't have to think about myself also, since I am bringing this prisoner of war inside my house, which is the enemy of whole Japanese people. So we have to think something very seriously. And he told me then we can tell to the servant, okay, that we will finally give him to the police when he will be all right. But then so doubt, okay, I have to think about you also, about our children also, and about my position also, because he was a surgeon and a scientist. It would endanger all of us if we did not give the man over as a prisoner of war. He told me we all will suffer, our kids, our career, our position, and my family. Dr. Sudhakar will all suffer if we will not hand him over to the police. Certainly, Soda agreed. I would not think of doing anything else. Now, Soda also agreed. No, children, this was the wording told by Hannah. Children, we are in page number 22. She told when Dr. Soda told him that we will hand this man to the police. So, what did Hannah told? Hannah told that we will tell to the servant, okay, that we intend to give him to the police, that we will give him to the police. We must think of the children and your position also. So she is thinking that we must think of the children and your position also. It would endanger all of us if we did not give this man over as a prisoner of war. So she is telling it would endanger all of us. She is telling it would endanger all of us if we did not give this man over as a prisoner of war. Okay. Certainly, Sadao agreed. I would not think of doing anything else. Certainly, children, Sadao told me I would not think of doing something else. Thus agreed together, they lifted this man. It was very light, like a fowl that had been half starved for a long time. And finally, children, what they have done, they have lifted that man, and he was very light, like a fowl. What is the meaning of fowl? Fowl is, children, a bird. Fowl is a bird that is kept for meat and eggs. Okay, so he was as light as a fowl, and that had been half starved, and maybe he did not had any food for several days for, okay, until it is only feathers and skeleton. And now children, like a fowl who had not been given anything to eat for several days, and now finally what would be left in his body? Only the feather and only the skeleton. All the muscle would have been melt because of the starvation. So this was his condition. He was very light. Only children, he was looking very slim because he had not taken food for many times. So his arms hanging, they carried him up the steps and into the side door. Now children, with a very great difficulty, his arms were hanging. Okay, anyhow they both had carried him to their door. Okay, and with great difficulty they carried up the steps into the side door of the house. This door opened into a passage, and down the passage they carried the man towards an empty bedroom. Now children, they put that man where the door opened it into a passage, and down the passage they carried the man towards an empty bedroom. An empty bedroom was there, and children, that bedroom belongs to the fathers of Sudao's father. Okay, that bedroom belonged to the father of Sudao. It had been the bedroom of Sudao's father. So children, whose bedroom it was? It was the bedroom of Sudao's father. And since his death, it had not been cleaned. It had not been used. And children, after he said that the bedroom was not being used, they laid the man on the deeply matted floor. Now children, if they put him first on the matted floor, everything here had been Japanese to please the old man. Children, what was the decoration of the room was there? It was in the style of a Japanese, because he was very pleased when he used to see the Japanese way of decoration. He was totally a very patriotic man of Japan. It seems to us he loved the culture and custom and tradition of Japan. Who would never in his own house sit on a chair or sleep in a foreign bed. So he never used to sleep in a foreign bed or sit. He used to sleep in the bed which was made in his own country. Okay, so he was such a patriotic fellow. Hannah went to the wall cupboards and slid back a door and took out a soft quilt. Hannah, she went to the cupboard and she slid back a door and she took out a very soft quilt. She hesitated. The quilt was covered with flowered silk and the lining was pure white silk. Now children, that silk was very expensive. It was a pure silk quilt and a nice flower with nice beautiful lines of the flowers were there. And she knew that man was very dirty. All the mud and all the seed beads were on his body, and the whole quilt will be spoiled. Okay, and that was of white pure silk. He is so dirty, she murmured in distress. Yes, he had better to be washed, Sodao agreed. If you will fetch hot water, I will wash him. Now Sodao told him, yes, I also feel that he should be washed, he should also be cleaned. So he is requesting Hannah to bring hot water so that they could clean him. I cannot bear for you to touch him, she said. We shall have to tell the servant he is here. I will tell Yumi now. So children, I cannot bear for you to touch him. Now she did not want, he was in such a shabby state, such a dirty state that she did not want that her husband should touch that and wash him. So she is telling, I will tell one of the servants that he should be here. I will tell Yumi now, she can leave the children for a few minutes and she can wash him. Now she is telling Yumi, children, is the one of the servants who is to cook for Hannah, and children, she used to take care of the children. So she is telling me, I will call Yumi, she will wash him. I did not want that you should touch him. Sodao considered a moment. Let it be so, he agreed. You tell Yumi and I will tell the others. Now he is telling you, okay, you tell Yumi and I will tell the others. But the utter pallor of the man's unconscious face moved him first to stoop and feel his pulse. And children, when he was leaving, what he thought, uh, pallor means children the pale color of his face. Children, the color of his face has become yellow because the man was unconscious. Face moved him first to stoop. Now children, the stoop is to bend down. So when he saw that his face has become yellow, he stooped down, okay, and feel his pulse. It was faint, but it was there. He put his hand against the man's cold breast. The heart too was yet alive. Now children, the situation, the man was in a very critical stage, and it was the heart, children, it was only beating, otherwise his condition was very critical. He will die unless he is operated on, Sadao said. Considering the question is whether he will not die anyway. He will die unless he is operated on, Sadao said. Considering the question is whether he will not die anyway. Now children, Sadao knew that he will die. If he will not be operated, he will sure be die. But the question is whether he will not die anyway. Now he is thinking, but before he died, then what he will do? Because still it will take time for the operation. It is not that he would simply operate him. So children, here I end my lesson as the time is over, and tomorrow we will continue the same lesson. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.